All right, guys, happy Sunday. We are getting ready for a new week of football. This is the last kind of summer football week, even though we are starting school on Wednesday. We are going to have, traditional schedule up until Wednesday, and then we're going to move our workouts to the morning and zero period, and we're going to practice after school from 4 to 6. But really, starting next week, we're getting ready for fall camp, and that means we're going to have pads on, and we're going to start doing quote unquote real football stuff. I don't like, saying 7-on-7 is fake football, but in reality, it's not the stuff you guys are going to be doing in the fall. So I wanted to put this together for really the JV and novice players and coaches to kind of give you guys an understanding of what the varsity is doing offensively. Okay, this is a much watered down version of what the varsity is doing. Coach Danny has really taken our offense to the next level, but this is just some stuff that the JV and novice coaches specifically can start to implement. Okay, I would say if you're building a house, this would be the foundation of the house. Okay, you're not gonna build a house without having a sturdy foundation. I feel confident that JV and novice can win a lot of plays, win a lot of games just running these base plays we're going to talk about in a second. Are Coach Chester and Coach Anderson going to have different wrinkles? Yes, but I would say this is probably going to be hopefully the foundation from which they start with. Okay, so the columns or the groups here are under center runs. Okay, and then we have shotgun runs, so they're similar but a little different. And then we have just our basic pass pro rules for our whole line. We have a couple play action passes, which we call boot and waggle. And then beast is just a heavy personnel where we run the ball. So, of course, there's going to be a lot more added in, specifically regarding the passing game. But this is just a basic foundation of what I think specifically in the run game you guys can get ready for. So let's take a peek. Let me float this on top. Okay, so under center is something that it really helps the run game and really helps the play action game. So JV and novice quarterbacks and centers, you guys need to be working shotgun snaps and under center snaps. They're very different. They both need to be practiced every day. Okay, but our base run is just inside zones. This is what we call zona. Okay, so all of our runs to the left are called hot. All of our runs to the right are called cold. So that's just a basic ploy in our offense. Okay, another basic ploy in our offense is our personnel groupings. Okay, if we have a tight end in the game, we call our personnel groupings flanker. So that's 11 personnel, one running back, one tight end. If we don't have a tight end in the game, or we want to spread out the tight end, we would call that bombers personnel. So I would say right now for the JV and novice teams, flanker and bombers personnel is probably the two basic personnel groupings you guys are going to want to start in. I would probably recommend starting in flanker personnel just because that's a little better in the run game. Okay. Our base formations right now, you guys can focus on tray right, tray left, dubs right, dubs left. The big difference though is that there's not a gun call. So for this example, it's just tray right. That means default, the quarterback's under center and the receivers are tight. Okay, let me guys show you a different example. This is a gun call now. So it's tray right gun. That means the quarterbacks in shotgun and the wide receivers are spread out. Okay, so this is something that the players are just going to have to get used to. When they hear gun, that means shotgun, receivers spread. When they don't hear a gun call, default means you're under center and tight. Okay, this is what the varsity has been getting the habit of. And I think it's going to be really good for your guys' offenses to learn how to be wide and spread and also be tight and condensed looks. Okay, so going into the actual run itself. So inside zone, I would just keep it really simple right now. The old linemen are in charge of their gap. So hot is left. The old linemen are in charge of their left run gap. So C gap, B gap, A gap, A gap, B gap, C gap. Okay. Basically, if an old lineman gap is uncovered, which means there's no one in there, they would help their buddy on the backside and work to the linebacker. There's much more specific calls for this stuff, which we make videos on if you guys are really interested in learning. But as a basic rule, I would just say the old linemen are responsible for their covered gap. The running back, your aiming point is the B gap. If it doesn't look like it's there, you want to cut back to the A gap. All right. We don't want inside zone to bounce to the sideline. We want this to hit downhill. Okay. Wide receivers, your general rule in tight alignment is to block the first, inside, second level defender. So we're not really worried about corners on zona. We want you guys to work to linebackers and safeties. The defense that you guys see on the screen is not going to be a defense that you guys will see versus a tight alignment. I didn't really manipulate the defense accurately, but just know that if you guys are tight, the defenders are going to come in tight. Okay, but Zona is one of our base run concepts at Olympian. Okay, a second run play. Base run is going to be Seattle. This is also known as outside zone. So inside zone, we're hitting the B gap. Outside zone, we're stretching this play to the D gap or where the tight end would be aligned. Okay, again, tons of rules for the old lineman. To keep it really simple right now, I would just say the old linemen need to drop and drive anybody in their gap. Okay, so you are going to drop with your right foot. If it's cold, it's a cold run, and you're going to try to drive anyone in your gap outside. Okay, for the running back, take an outside angle to the D gap. If you see grass outside, take it. If not, stick your foot in the ground and go upfield. Okay, on the backside, drop and drive. If you're uncovered, old lineman, I would take a couple steps, then work to the second level. Okay, I'm being really blasé right now just to not overword you guys because I know you're just learning. But just know there's a lot more detail here that would be happening if you guys were on varsity or wanting to learn the nuances of the play. One big difference in the blocking scheme is the outside receiver in Seattle blocks the corner. So this X right here, since it's Seattle cold, outside zone to the right, he's going to be blocking the corner. All of the receivers are working for play side, second level guys here. Okay, so Zona is inside zone, Seattle is outside zone. Coach Chester specifically, this was what we called Oakland previously in the spring, but we changed the name of this to Seattle. Okay, this is a really great run. If you got everybody piling in on the box, start running to the outside and getting some numbers to the perimeter. Okay, another base run is called Koi. So C stands for counter. Okay, so we're trying to, as a running back, step one way and come back the other way. What you're also going to see on C plays is pulling linemen. Okay, so just a very basic version of this. So this is flanker, 11 personnel, tray right. So we're in trips to the right, but there's no gun call, so everything's tight. It's Koi hot. Koi stands for the Y is going to be pulling. So what you have here is the 3 O linemen to the side of the run. That means the 3 left O linemen, since it's hot, are down blocking. Okay, they're blocking back to their right. Okay, so to keep it real simple, if there's someone in your gap, block them to the right. If there's no one in your gap, work to a linebacker. Okay, the backside guard, we call on the varsity levels a first level puller, also known as a kick out block. He's going to drop step and kick out this defensive end here. Okay, the Y or the tight end in this play is called a second level puller. He's going to pull up and behind the kick out lineman and block a linebacker. Okay, the F is trying to follow the Y downhill. This is not a play we want to bounce. Okay, this is wrong here. I'm sorry. This should be left tackle. This should be left guard. This should be right guard, and this should be right tackle. Okay, for the right tackle here, he has a very specific rule we call bang, seal, and wheel. Okay, we don't want the D lineman to crash this play and blow it up in the backfield. So this right tackle needs to bang step down, make sure no one gets in his gap, and then he can seal back to block the defensive end if there's no threat. Okay, so and all receivers are blocking first inside, second level player. So zone plays are all linemen going the same direction. So Seattle cold, all linemen going right. Zona hot, all linemen going left. Okay, Koi or gap plays are a little more confusing. We have some linemen going right, some linemen going left. So coaches on these levels, I would probably install Zona and Seattle first before we install Koi and Bama, which we're going to talk about in a second. On the varsity level, we have gap days and zone days. So right now in the summer, we have Mondays are our zone days, and Wednesdays are our gap days. In the fall, it's going to be Monday, Wednesday zone days, Tuesday, Thursday gap days. So that kind of helps the installation for the kids, I feel. But there are very different plays, and you will notice, coaches, your linemen have harder times remembering these plays to start since guys are going in different directions. Okay, players, all the plays you see right now can be run left and right. So this is Koi hot, but we can easily flip every player and run Koi cold. Okay, this play right here is Seattle cold, but we can now flip the direction and go Seattle hot. So all of our runs can go left and right. Okay, our last base run, coaches, right now is Bama. So this is also known as power. This is very similar to Koi in the sense that you have pullers. The biggest difference, though, are the types of pullers you have. The guard in Bama is now a second level puller. Okay, the Y in Bama is a kick out or a first level puller. So the Y in this play, we call it Y buzz. So he's going to buzz pre snap, kick out the defensive end, and the guard is going to be now pulling underneath and up. Okay, so the responsibilities of the pullers switch in Bama. Okay, this should not have same yet. This is just straight Bama cold. Okay, running back, you're going to take a counter step similar to Chug or Koi, and you're going to come right downhill and run this ball. Okay, so this is very similar to Chug in the sense that you have a pulling guard and you have a kick out block. The roles and responsibilities just switch. So coaches, if you feel like this is too much to install right away, that's fine. But just know that our base 4 runs on the varsity level are Zona, Seattle, some counter combination, and Bama. Okay. Another easy install for this is just having the Y on the side of the kick out. So instead of calling Trey left, you could call Dubs right, Bama cold. All right. That is a very simple version of our 4 base runs under center. Okay. We also can run all of these out of gun. Okay. So the blocking rules for the old linemen don't change in gun, but some of the rules for the running backs do. So one big rule change is in Zona in shotgun. The running back's track is now A gap instead of B gap. And if it looks cloudy, he's going to jump cut to the backside A in shotgun. Okay. Pretty much everything else, though, for the blocking scheme stays the same, other than also in gun, the the quarterback can pull the ball. So if we ran Zona hot and at a shotgun and the quarterback sees this defensive end crashing, the quarterback has the option to pull the ball and run. He doesn't have that option in under center plays. Okay. Another nuance or caveat to gun run specifically out of Zona coaches is you can tag RPOs. Okay, the way we signal it is cap 1, cap 2, cap 3, or we could just have a key call. So let me just go through this step by step. If we had a cap 1 call, that means the Z receiver just does a little now screen with the slot receiver blocking, and the single receiver runs a 5-yard speed out. If you get to this level with your quarterbacks, they can essentially make a pre-snap read where they want to take the ball. They can either hand it off to the F and he can run the ball, or they can pull and throw the ball to the Z or the X if they have numbers, grass, or leverage. Okay, there's videos that have a lot more detail on this, but it's essentially a read, run, pass option for the quarterback. So if you feel like your quarterback's getting really confident and really good with the plays, you might want to start tagging these RPOs into them. Nothing changes for the O-line if it's Zona hot, key 2, or key 3, or cap 1. They're still running Zona hot. The rule is that the ball should be thrown before the linemen get downfield. Okay? These are just other variations of the key and cap plays. So now it's called cap 2. So now the number 2 receiver is doing a bubble with the X running a snap route. It's just getting a different player in the pass route. Okay? If you guys wanted to run key 3, I recommend going out of bombers, so 10 personnel. So the Y receiver is wide, and now the number 3 receiver is running the bubble. One little difference is that if we call key, there's no snap route on the backside. It's just backside blocking. If you call cap, where you have a cap ends with AP, we're essentially tagging a snap route on the backside. So there's a lot of variations as this the coaches can call. But most of the key and cap plays are run off of run off of Zona. Okay. Inside zone is usually a very easy run to have RPOs tagged to it. Okay. Here is Seattle out of shotgun, almost exactly the same out of under center. Same rules from the running back, trying to hit the D gap and looking for the bounce or the bang up field. Okay. Koi, again, out of gun. One big difference is the running back doesn't take a counter step. He's just going to shuffle and hit the same hole. If you want to tag key or cap, you can off of counter plays. I think for right now, though, just keeping those tagged on Zona is probably easier, but you still have the second level puller being the Y and the kick out being the guard. Okay. If we ran Cleveland, so Cleveland is another play you're only going to run out of shotgun. This is when you have, it's essentially GT counter. The guard and the tackle are both pulling. So I like to run this out of with a motion going one way and GT counter going the other. So we could tag this Dubs right gun, Y jet, Cleveland cold. So the guard is the first level kick out. The tackle is a second level puller. All the linemen to the right are down blocking left. Okay, coaches, the quarterback does have an option to pull this if the defensive end crashes, but just know that Cleveland is a GT counter. Coy is a guard tight end counter play. Okay, so that those are some nuances. And again, if you guys feel like this might be too much to start, that's fine. I'm just giving you kind of more of our base runs out of shotgun and under center. Okay, another run out of shotgun is again Bama. One big difference that we've been doing on varsity coaches is Bama at a shotgun, we keep the back on the same side of the run. So if it's Bama cold, the running back's going to be on the right. He's going to jab left, take the ball, and then come back to the right. Almost all the other runs at a shotgun, the running back would start opposite the side he's going to. So you can see like on Cleveland cold, he starts on the left. On Coy hot, he starts on the right. The only time he wouldn't start opposite is in Bama. So we've been kind of playing around with that. We like the timing a little better with our kids. So, let me just go back to the beginning here in regard to the runs. I think coaches, a combination of under center and shotgun can be really beneficial, especially for your running game. The biggest benefit I think of the shotgun runs are you can start tagging RPOs off of them. I think the downhill running will actually be a little better under center, and you will have better play actions off of the under center stuff. So if you got a quarterback and a center that are getting really good with both shotgun and under center, I would try to install both as soon as you can. Like I tried to mention, there are some nuances between the two, but I think the combination of both is going to be beneficial. Coaches, if your players are not getting the rhythm with under center, stick to gun. If they're not getting the rhythm with shotgun, stick to under center. But the goal is to get your kids to be able to do both. Okay, hopefully that all makes sense. Let's go to the basic pass pro. Okay, so I think for JV and novice, you guys can stick with 60 and 61. 60 is essentially 4-man slide to the right, and the running back steps up, blocks the B gap. The tackle's big on the defensive end. Okay, trying to keep this as simple as possible. On slide right, we would call this an even call because the number is 0, which we consider an even number. So the 4-0 linemen to the right are responsible for their gap in pass protection. So C gap, B gap, A gap, B gap. The left tackle or the backside O lineman is man on the defensive end, and the F steps up and takes anybody in the B gap. Okay, if there's no one in the gap to the O lineman's side, he would help on the backside. For this instance, let me edit this. If this defensive end is in the C gap, the right tackle would have him in pass protection. But this right guard, there's no one in his B gap. He would help backside with the center on this nose tackle. But just know that similar to inside zone, they're always responsible for their play side gap first. So if someone comes into their gap late, that O lineman has to pick it up. Okay, that I think would be a really simple way to start with pass pro. If you want the back on the other side, you would make an odd call. And now these 4-0 linemen have their left gaps. The back steps up to his right, takes the B gap, and the right tackle is big on big. So if you wanted to go slide right, I would call 60. If you wanted to go slide left, I would call 61. We just tag the number before our pass. So this looks like, let me get this formation right. So this is tray. This would be tray right gun. And we could call, this looks like a 60 double stick. Okay, so we would just call 60 for the pass pro and then call the pass route off of it. I'm not even talking about pass routes right now, coaches. You guys can go on your own on what you think you want to handle. I can give you our suggestions, but just make sure that the number goes in front of the pass so the O-line, the running back knows what the pass pro is. Okay, another caveat is, since 60 and 61 are the numbers that I would start with, if there's no threat in pass pro, the running back would run a bubble route, but the running backs have to know that their first priority is pass protection. Obviously, with pads coming on, that's going to be critical. All right. All right. What's next here? Okay. Two passes, coaches, that I would definitely install are boot and waggle. They'll be killer. They'll be killer to run off of your run game stuff. So I would just start with a base boot play, tray right. So we're under center and tight. H jet. Okay. Playboy cold is just selling pass to the right. So the quarterback's going to show the ball. The running back's going to fake right. And then the quarterback's going to pull and open up left. All the old linemen are just driving anyone in their gap to the right. But the key thing is they're not going downfield. Okay. So they're just driving anyone they can to the right. The routes in this concept, there's lots of variations, but the H runs a wheel route, the X runs a post, the Y runs a slice or a shoot route backside, and the Z runs an intermediate over route. Coach Danny has tons of combinations of this, but there's essentially a low, middle, and high guy on every combination, and the quarterback just reads it low to high. I think on your guys' levels, 8 times out of 10 this green route will be open, 2 times out of 10 that Z will be open. If nothing's there, I think you guys are also going to notice, coaches, the quarterback can just pull and run it because all these guys are going to really bite on the run fake. So I would definitely make this a staple in your guys' offense. Run Zona cold, run Seattle cold, then come back with boot the other way. I think this will be a home run play for you guys. And since you're hopefully installing under center runs, this under center boot pass will really be a killer. The thing about boot is you're rolling out away from the Y. So to keep the defense honest, you're also going to want to have a boot route to the Y, which we call waggle. So this is the same formation, tray right, H jet. Now we're going playboy hot waggle. So we're rolling out to the Y. The routes change up. The Z, which we would tag here as a corner. Now the X runs the intermediate over route, and the Y runs a push out. So he's going to sell run for 2 hard steps, and he's going to run a shoot route. Again, quarterback, read it low to high, 1, 2 to 3. Coaches, you'll notice this quarterback's going to have a ton of grass just to run the ball. I know, like on the JV level, Coach Anderson, Vasquez can run. He's going to run for 30, 40 yards a lot on this play. So I would definitely get this base boot concept installed. I'd run it left and right. And this base waggle concept installed, I'd run it left and right. And I think these will be your 2 best passes, in my opinion, in the fall. All right. And then just to finish off with just a heavy formation, this is something that you guys can just put your bigs in to crush them on the goal line. We call this beast. So we do overload. So we move our left tackle to the right, and we have our tight end on the ball. We have 3 players really close to the line of scrimmage in the I think varsity has them in the A gap, B gap, C gap. And then it's just all down blocking one way, kickouts the other. So we would call this Bama cold, because everyone on the line of scrimmage is down blocking left. We have 3 guys kicking out, and just get your best Wildcat quarterback the ball. Okay. I think this is probably enough. If you guys want to run, you guys want to flip it, you can go, beast left, Bama hot. On varsity, we have some outside zone. We have some double handoff stuff. But, I think to install just this base heavy formation, this is a good start. So that could get you guys just in the mentality of, hey, we're going goal line. Nobody's going to stop us. We get our bigs in the game. And I know, one of the big flaws I did when I was a younger OC was not have a really good goal line offense ready. So I think, this could be a good start inside the 10 just to pound them a little bit. So, all right, specifically coaches, hope this makes sense. I was rambling a little bit, but I think some combination of these plays, the first couple weeks of pads, will get you guys off to a good foundation. Obviously, there's going to be wrinkles you guys add in, and specifically with the passes. We can give you guys help on that too if you need it. But I think if you focus on these 4 base runs under center and in shotgun, add in some RPO tags, make sure the kids understand their pass pro, get boot and waggle installed, and then get a heavy set. I think you guys are going to be off and running. All right, talk soon. Bye.